T-Dog, J-Boy, and me, I'm Lugs. Our pride and joy is pumping our mugs. Be careful, kids, it could get rough. We're flipping our lids on sports and other stuff.
Welcome to Sport Weasel Central. I'm Lugs.
I'm J-Boy.
And I'm T-Dog.
The stage is set for the first time ever, a home game Super Bowl. Buccaneers will host the Chiefs, a match for the ages. Old school versus new school. Yes, the GOAT versus the Whiz Kid. It's Brady versus Mahomes. But first, a look back at the conference title games. All right, you Sport Weasels, who do you blame for the Packers' loss? Matt LaFleur, Aaron Rodgers, or the officials on that pass interference call? Take it away. What do you think?
Oh, I don't think you can blame anybody. I think even with the 3 interceptions, Brady did what they had to do to win that game. And Matt LaFleur, I mean, he should have gone for that, at least one of those two. But he didn't. And so still a good game, interesting. And it'll be interesting for the Super Bowl, but I'll save that to when we get into our predictions and stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was a compelling game just for the tale of two halves for Tom Brady. I mean, he was so hot in the first half. I mean, they converted 7 of their 9 third downs for the game in the first half, and on that first drive alone, I think he had 3.
Yep.
Which involved a touchdown, which was just lofted perfectly over Kevin King into Mike Evans' hands. And then he hit like a 50-yard bomb to Godwin that set up the Fournette 20-yard rushing touchdown. He was just really on point. And again, the kind of like what Lugs pointed out, the difference of the teams was I'm not going to completely put it on LaFleur, who had a good season of coaching, but for them to tighten up when they were down 8 and to kick a field goal, like to think they're going to get the ball back, considering I know Brady didn't play well in the second half, but to not have the testicular fortitude to take.
Can we write that down?
Take that shot. Was but on the flip side, you look at, in the first half, they get Rodgers' only major huge mistake, the INT to Murphy Bunting, with just a few seconds ago in the second quarter.
Yep.
It looks like the Bucs are going to punt, and all of a sudden they bring the offense back on. He throws a fourth down conversion to Leonard Fournette, and with 8 seconds to go,
yes,
Scotty Miller goes over Kevin King and puts him up 21-10, and that was the difference in the game. Compounded by the first drive of the Packers in the second half. Aaron Rodgers hits a crossing route to Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones is hit by the safety. Ball's knocked loose. Devin White, who had a spectacular game against the New Orleans Saints last week, picks it up, and then that leads to an 8-yard passing touchdown to Cameron Brate from Brady that put him up 21-10, and that was pretty much the dagger. So
back to that. Let's kick a field goal. And White, you've got the MVP of the league with the ball in his hands. And first of all, he could have run that in on that third down play, right? There was daylight. And then part 2, give the MVP another shot at the throw. I mean, I don't get that. That was beyond strange to me.
Rodgers, that whole sequence there where Rodgers should have run that in.
Yep.
4 or 5 years ago, Rodgers would have run that in. But for whatever reason, he chose not to. I just don't think he wants to take those licks anymore. He's taken enough of them. But, and that could have turned it for them.
Yep, big time.
Well, it also it's not only did you have MVP, I mean, the one touchdown he had to Devontae Adams, I mean, Devontae Adams juked the corner out of his shoes. I mean, He faked like he was going outside, and then he hit a slant for a 2-yard touchdown. You have easily this year easily the best red zone wide receiver.
Oh, without question.
Yeah, so why you don't take that opportunity? Because even if you don't make it, let's say you don't, they're on the 8-yard line, and as well as your defense play in the second half, there's a good chance you get the ball back. As good as getting the ball back after kicking a field goal, but you probably get better position, than if you do a kick, like they're usually going to go to the 20-25. I know they ended up stopping at the 10, but still, like, you're usually giving up field position. So I don't know. It was very confusing. I unfortunately did not watch a press conference. I'm sure someone asked him about it. I don't know what his explanation was. I don't think it was that good.
Yeah, Roger says it wasn't his call, and then LaFleur said, well, I figured we had 4 timeouts with 2 minutes to go, counting the 2-minute warning, so we had a chance to come back.
Not against Brady.
Well, and not against that defense. Let's talk about that defense for a second. That was a good defense.
Yeah.
I mean, man.
Hey, JPP, man.
Yeah.
JPP put the fear of God into Aaron Rodgers.
It was Shaq Barrett and JPP. They both had I think there was only 5 sacks. Shaq Barrett had 3. JPP had 2. And I forget where it was in the game. The one Shaq Barrett sack was one of those exceptional ones where he timed up the snap perfectly, and he got around the edge. No one touched him, and he met Rodgers immediately as he was hitting his 3rd step. So it was, and it's what they did to him, during the regular season. Like, their pass rush actually really discombobulated the Packers, who for the most part kept Rodgers clean as a sheet. The other factor is Packers, who are exceptionally run team. I mean, it helped to knock Aaron Jones out, but they held him to, I believe, 69 yards rushing.
Yep.
What was it? 67 yards rushing. So,
right.
And I know we had to touch on it too. Anyone who complains about the PI call, when it's that obvious,
you can't pull the jersey, and it stretched, 2 feet
yeah,
out.
I mean, it was almost a half a foot apart, or a little over that.
Kevin King had a bad game. Let's say that. I mean, he gave up that touchdown to Scotty Miller, and then he had the PI call, and that was the ball game.
Yep. And actually, he gave up the touchdown to Mike Evans. So he had 2 touchdowns on him, and he had the play that essentially iced the game. So
see, I have to, on the other side for the Pack, Jair Alexander had a hell of a game. I didn't understand why they didn't isolate him on Evans. He stayed on his side the whole time, and they just left King out there on that island, and they were beating him. King had a couple of run stops that were impressive, but by and large, as far as pass coverage, he looked like he was always a step behind. But I got to say, they let those guys play. There was some serious hand whacking in the secondary on both sides, and they didn't call a lot of it. But that was so blatant. If it had been anybody else in the area, they could have said they didn't see it. But it was just blatant, and he stretched that jersey out about as far as it would go. You
know what? They needed those old tearaway jerseys from the 1970s that Nebraska used to wear. Remember those?
Oh, yeah.
They'd have the bare midriff and there'd be no jersey. They needed those. The fishnet ones. Remember those?
Yeah.
Needed those. But, hey, let's say this. Brady can still sling the ball. Am I right?
It was pretty amazing, actually.
For a 43-year-old man to heft that rock like that?
Well, what I was impressed with, he had a couple of outs to the sideline from the far hash that arrived, baby. And he was, I got to say, there were a couple of those when they were in the red zone. Those boys, I mean, it was like a bullet coming at them. And I can understand why it'd be hard to handle.
And it was 28 degrees, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that truly was like a big old stone coming at you.
Now, he's not always accurate, but he can throw it far. Yeah, and he had no grass stains on that uniform. He never went down once, did he?
Well, there was 1 sack by Clark. But other than that, they kept him clean as a sheet. So
yeah.
So there they go.
Yeah,
There's the GOAT. There goes the GOAT.
It doesn't be fair to Brady. That's the thing that separates him from a lot of his other older brethren who are either retiring or close to retiring. Is you hit it? Is his arm is still there? I mean, that's the thing with Drew Brees. His arm is gone. Phillip Rivers. I mean, not to say his arm was gone, but it definitely was waning. But Brady's arm is as strong as ever, if not possibly better, at least in terms of strength. So
TB12.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all need to start doing TB12.
He elevated the Bucks just by walking in the house.
Hello?
So,
Hello? I have a question. Will Rodgers be back with the Packers? I'll hang up and listen to your answer. Thanks.
of course he will.
What? You think so?
Oh, yes.
No.
Oh,
No.
you just want him to get rid of him because you're a Bears fan.
I want him out of the North Division. Let's admit it. Come on.
I will say this: I enjoy him doing the many people on this team's futures uncertain, including my own. I love that finally the tutelage of Brett Favre is coming in to him. Like the is he or won't he? Like it's coming. It's fine. He's at that stage of his Packer career where he's gonna wane. He's gonna be with the Packers the next 3 or 4 years, but in the offseason, he's always gonna make them like hold their breath.
But isn't it a shame? One Super Bowl, and it was 10 years ago now. One Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. That's it.
I think he's the best example of why I think W's to some extent are overrated for quarterback, because I think easily to me he played better than Brady yesterday.
Oh yeah,
for the full length of the game. But Brady was on a better team, so he won. And everyone's like, "Oh, well, Brady's better than Rodgers." Like at this point, no, he's not.
But didn't Brady have more swagger? I mean, come on, you guys. I mean, seriously, he's got that determination.
It's Michael Jordan level psychotic, which I think he has. And not to say Aaron Rodgers doesn't work as hard, but like definitely it feels like Brady attaches that to other people. Where, like I said, as great as Aaron Rodgers is, and he is great, I think he's. It feels like when you see interviews with him, like he can lead a team by example. He's not a guy he's not like a big rah-rah guy. He's not like a guy who really talks to a lot of people and stuff. Like his circle's very low where, I mean, yeah, you heard like, the offseason when Tom Brady was like trying to break into Byron Leftwich's house to like mind meld with him. It's like, I think it was almost pretty much a violation. Like that's how he is. So.
Well, did you see Rodgers in the postgame wearing that sock hat? He's got that bad-looking kind of serial killer beard, and he's got the neckerchief on. He looked like he just broke out of the big house or something. He doesn't look good. It's just not a good look.
Well, I mean, it does go back to that sort of crazy competitive nature like Michael Jordan. I mean, Brady's over there screaming at people on the sidelines, and Bruce Arians finally admitted he's letting Brady coach, essentially, because the people do listen to the man. The man, this is his 10th Super Bowl. I mean, it's got to mean something. So, but
okay,
hey,
game one. You want to move on to game two? Go ahead, take it away.
Kansas
Chiefs.
City.
Yes.
Patrick Mahomes, if he never plays another game, he's already in the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
That's amazing. Just that offense. I don't remember any offense ever where you knew. I mean, it didn't matter. From the moment they walk out onto the field, he's going to find either Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, somebody's going to be open. It's just amazing. So that was fun to watch. And it was kind of sad for Buffalo in that if they had a running game at all.
Right, other than Josh Allen, right.
Right. No, and he is massive. It is pretty strange to see a Roethlisberger-sized guy hauling it down the field. So
you're right.
But it was an entertaining game when for moments. It had its moments.
Go ahead, T-Dog. Go, baby.
I think to me the main thing that was impressive is on their first drive, on the third down, Mahomes threw a deep dart where he was able to essentially drop it in a bucket between two defenders of Tyreek Hill, and it just went off his hands.